Hey guys, how you doing? Tekking here. You gotta love that feeling. The feeling where everything just kind of comes together, you know? As an anime YouTuber, I have plenty of master plans in the works out there. Multifaceted, multi-layered plans, some of which are unknown even to myself. Barry is like the keeper of all this stuff. He is the knowledge that you do not want to know about the world in there, okay? Pretty sure somewhere in Barry's brain is like the anti-life equation or something, right? Well, anyway, I would like for you to, if you haven't seen what I posted on Twitter last night, go to Google and type in Kaito is a, and, well, you'll be taken away from there. Spoiler alert, he's a duck! Now, to be fair, it's dragon first and then duck, and maybe it might vary depending on your country where you're typing this in at, but I tried this out with my fans last night on Twitter, and the bulk of them were all, yeah, Kaito is a duck, and I'm like, there you go. That's one of my master plans. It's been, made into reality right there. So I thought it would be kind of funny to go through, because I love Google Autocomplete, alright? I'm a big fan of the Wired YouTube channel, Autocomplete Interviews. They did some really good ones. Daniel Radcliffe, Samuel Jackson, Paul McCartney's were good. They just put out one with Patrick Stewart a couple of days ago. That was a really good one, so if you haven't seen the Wired Autocomplete Interviews, they're there. I'm also a big fan of the Vlog Brothers, Hank and John Green, and they did some stuff with that, I think, years back. They did, like, autocomplete videos. I'm a big fan of, like, Google Autocomplete because it gives us such a weird look into, like, this is what other people in the world are asking. So I thought, okay, since I made an impact on Google Autocomplete by, I really hope, to every god that, people have prayed to ever since the dawn of man, I hope Oda sees that autocomplete result. I mean, like, maybe Oda is just sitting around his office one day and he's like, man, I'm gonna do a Google search to see what people are saying about Kaito. Kaito is, and then it's like, is a dragon. All right, that makes sense because he's a dragon. But then right underneath dragon, he sees Kaito is a duck. And the odds are very unlikely he will ever see that, but I want him to. By the way, in case you're curious where the origins of that come from, I made a video for April Fool's Day, I think it was just last year, where I said, yeah, Kaito's not a dragon, he's a duck. Honestly, I picked duck out of a hat. It could have been any animal. I could have said, Kaito is a giraffe, Kaito is a sea otter, Kaito is a tardigrade. I could have said anything, but I just chose duck, and I do not take that back in the slightest. It starts with a D. We know the relevance of the D in One Piece, so I'm just gonna go with that. So I have here some Google One Piece related topic search results, so we're gonna go through these here. I use the incognito mode, so like my own search results for, like, One Piece related hentai and whatnot does not get, you don't want that to get bogged down in the search results, you know what I mean? So this should be, and you go to the incognito mode and search, and this should be the same results you should get. Once again, it might vary by country, but let's start off, since we started with Kaito, let's start off with some Kaito-based autocompletes, alright? So this is continuing on that line. Kaito is a dragon, we figured, and then Kaito is a duck, but beyond that, we have Kaito is a dragon theory, Kaito is a dragon Reddit, and Kaito is an Oni. So the idea here is that Kaito might very well not have a dragon fruit. He might be a dragon that has an Oni fruit, or some kind of, like, ancient giant fruit. I've gone over this before, but yeah, the idea is that, and the weird thing I will say is that Oda, during this arc of Wano, he really enjoys to give us the ancient dragons, like the Ryu no Mi ancient dragon type, because dragon and dinosaur, share similar kanji. So you have X-Drake's fruit, Page One's fruit, King and Queen's fruit are all ancient dragons, yet Kaito, who's the one person that's an actual, like, mythical Chinese dragon, Oda, for whatever reason, hasn't revealed the name of his fruits. So that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it doesn't have to mean anything, but I'm just like, you're revealing all these other dragon fruits, but Kaito's you're being ambiguous with. So he might be a dragon that has a human fruit, or a fruit that makes him that human appearance. I've gone over this before, but yeah. Kaito is a poneglyph. This is something you don't see too much anymore, but it was something that was around for a very long time, because when Kaito was first introduced, what happened? He jumped off of a sky island and slammed into the ground 10,000 meters, drop, right? That's a big kaboom boom, right? So you're thinking, okay, well, he's indestructible, or he's very nigh indestructible, and what else is indestructible in the One Piece world? Poneglyphs, of course. So a lot of people started getting the idea. It was like, well, we know objects can consume devil fruits. We've seen guns and swords eat devil fruits. Well, we haven't seen them eat devil fruits, but we know they can have the power of a devil fruit through some mechanism. So it's like, poneglyphs are indestructible. Maybe a poneglyph at some point consumed a devil fruit, or Vegapunk gave it, like Kaito is a byproduct of the government's, scientific experimentation. They went too far! They created a Kaito! That's, maybe. From what we've seen in the last few, dozen chapters, that doesn't seem to be the case. If he does have a devil fruit, it's either going to be a dragon or some kind of fruit that resembles a human or an oni or an ancient giant. It's probably not going to be poneglyph related. But it's an interesting concept. People are thinking out of the box. I like that, because you never really know what Oda's going to do. Then we have Kaito is a giant. That's because of the horns on his head. Not really a normal giant, but an ancient giant, or at least maybe has ancient giant blood in him in some capacity. Kaito's height, when we first meet him, it was like he's this really towering dude, but as we've seen from the most recent arc, comparisons between him and Luffy when him and Luffy were fighting, Kaito's a big guy, he certainly is, but he's like maybe 6-7 meters tall at best. From what we've seen, in some ways, he's like the same height as Big Mom, other times it's less consistent. I'm not really sure how, how much, stock Oda puts in that. Like, whenever Oda draws Kaito, he's like, maybe really careful, like, I gotta make sure to draw him this exact height compared to other characters. Maybe Oda doesn't put that much stock in it, but he is a big dude, but Kaito is certainly not, the size of, Oars or Oars Jr. He's not even the size of, Dory or Broggy. He's definitely more Whitebeard, Big Mom level height, around there, that range there. Not quite giant, but really big kind of dude. Kaito is a dragon One Piece, and this is something, Kaito is a Sea King. I've never seen that theory out there before. I'm sure it was out there. It was on Google Autocomplete, so it was out there somewhere. But, stumbling across all the Kaito videos I've done and all the research I've done into this, what people are talking about it on the internet, I've never come across that. But you know what? Maybe that might be, once again, something that was a remnant from before he was revealed to be a dragon, because it's like, okay, he's got to be something ridiculously powerful for the fact, he's got to be a demon or an oni or a dragon or a duck or a poneglyph. What are also really ancient, really powerful beings that exist in One Piece? Well, some of the Sea Kings are not so super powerful, like the Lord of the Coast and the one that Aokiji, frost froze, whatever, flash freezed or whatever. But, then you get the Sea Kings that are living on, the bottom of the ocean, by Fishman Island, the ones that were communing with Shirahoshi. They were very, very intelligent, and they've apparently lived for a very, very long time. So I could see it was okay, they're these ancient beings that certainly do exist. Maybe they're just they're able to live for thousands and thousands of years. The one that Luffy fought against, the Lord of the Coast, that was only maybe a couple dozen years old, so it was a juvenile. It wasn't really intelligent, but then if these Sea Kings live thousands of years, they increase their intelligence to the point where it gets beyond human beings. That would be something I could see. But yeah, I've never seen the Kaito is a Sea King theory. That was something else. Alright, so some other characters from One Piece. I did some main characters here, some other Yonko, some generic ones. So let's start with Luffy. Okay, so I just typed in Luffy is. Luffy is Brazilian. This is, yes, he is, at least according to Oda. Somebody asked him in an SBS, hey, if the Straw Hats lived in our world, our modern-day Earth, what nationalities would they be? What countries would they hail from? So Luffy is, in fact, Brazilian. I was also mentioning this when I did the live-action discussion, because, the Netflix live-action thing is happening. I'm thinking, man, if you could do this, make the actors that portray the Straw Hats from the countries of origin, those nationalities. I think that would work really well. Give some diversity on the crew here. Yeah, Luffy is Brazilian. I know Nami is Swedish. Frankie is, of course, from the USA. The United States of America. Robin is Russian. Usopp's from Africa. I think Chopper was from Canada. Brooke was from Austria. I'm not really sure too much on that one. Chopper from Canada, I get it, it's really cold. Nami from Sweden, I get that. Like Swedish, like I think it's like Swedish models, very beautiful women, so there you go. I don't get, okay, straight up, like, all I know about Austria is I think the capital is Vienna. I think that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but anybody from Austria, please let me know, is your country being secretly run by, like, walking, talking rock musician skeletons? Somebody from Austria is right now typing this. It's a skeleton, like, damn it, he knows! He knows! Red alert! Okay, but yeah, Austria. But yeah, Luffy is Brazilian in that sense. Next question, Luffy is a Yonko. Well, kind of, because Yonko literally just means 4 emperors, and there's already 4 emperors. There's Blackbeard, Big Mom, Kaito, and Shanks. So, saying Luffy is a Yonko, he's the 5th Yonko, he's like the 5th, 4th emperor. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. You could say like Ko, I guess, the 5 emperors. But no, he's unofficially, I would say, one of the emperors, because in One Piece, you don't just like fill out a form at the World Government Office and like, all right, I'm gonna fill out my application to be an emperor, please. That's not how you do it. It's not like the Shichibukai, which, well, it's abolished now, but the Shichibukai was like an actual organization that the World Government ran and had to like invite people over. I'm sure there probably was some paperwork they had to fill out. I don't know. Like, Mihawk's like, all right, yes, I've accepted your summons. I guess I shall become one of your warlords or whatever, your privateers, whatever you're calling them. He's like, yes, Mr. Hawk, here you go. My first name's Dracula. Yeah, whatever. Mr. Hawk, if you could just fill out these forms in triplicate, please, and mail them back in, then we will give you your official Shishibukai membership pin in the mail, whatever. But the Yonko are a little different. It's more about, like, what the world considers an emperor, like a really, really ridiculously strong pirate that has earned the respect of kind of like other pirates, and the respect, I would say, and also fear of the Marines and the world government, like to the point where you're like a superpower in the world of One Piece. That's when you're considered an emperor, all right? The people of the world, the citizenry, they definitely fear Luffy from how strong he's gotten, the fact he's son of Dragon, he has connections to Ace and all that stuff. They would definitely fear him there. He's the grandson of Garp. But as for the other Yonko, like, accepting him as one of their own, like, Kaito doesn't like Big Mom very much, well, like, right now they're okay, but Kaito would still accept that, like, okay, she's a Yonko, she's an emperor, okay, she's strong, right? Blackbeard was looking at it, and he's like, it's still too early for you, kid. So, would I consider Luffy, like, an official member of the Emperors? Not really quite yet. I would consider him an unofficial member. Keep in mind, that was also Morgan's that printed that story that called him the 5th Emperor of the Sea, but that could be viewed as just, like, sensationalism in the news, not actual, like, fact yet. However, if Luffy were to defeat Kaito and he would die in this arc, then there's an opening right there, so yeah. After Wano, we might definitely get a more, like, cemented place for Luffy in the One Piece world, I would say. Luffy is Joy Boy. If this was only a couple of months ago, if this was before the Oden flashback, I would probably say, yeah, most likely. He's the reincarnation, or he's like the spirit of Joy Boys within Luffy, or the will of the D resides in Luffy in that particular instance, and he's gonna be like the Joy Boy for a new generation. Now that we have the new, now that we have that new information from Oden's flashback and all that stuff, talking about how, like, Joy Boy is gonna return to this country, and now we have time travel involved in One Piece. The way that Oden was talking about him, it seemed to imply that he existed 800 years ago, made a jump to the future, and he's going to be arriving, 20 years after Oden's death, which would be right now in the story. Still have no idea what Oda's going to do with this. If Joy Boy's going to show up and he's going to be like, I was the main villain this entire time, wahahaha, and then it turns out Luffy is like, Luffy is the true embodiment of the goodness of Joy Boy, or I don't know what this means, but for right now, it seems like Joy Boy is a separate person from Luffy that's gonna, like, appear in the story. At least, from my perspective, that's what's going on. Maybe you're under the impression, like, no, it's just gonna be Luffy. It's gonna be, like, not maybe necessarily, like, a reincarnation thing, but, like, the inherited will thing. But who knows? We might pull a Madara here, where it's like, the power of Madara is passed. No, Madara is just here now. Okay. Luffy is asexual. So, I mean, kind of, yeah. Oda doesn't really depict Luffy with much of, if at any, sex drive at all. I did a reading of a Luffy X Nami fanfiction one time, and I was trying to find a really good one. It took me forever to find a really good one to read, as you do, because it's like Luffy writing him in that context of like, hey Nami, I really like you. You know, like that's just not how Luffy talks. That doesn't seem to be what he's interested in. For the purposes of the canon of One Piece, yeah, Oda is essentially depicting him as asexual, not really interested in the opposite sex or any sex. He's not interested in sex or relationships really at all. Luffy's in love with meat and adventure. If you want something to go on there, he's a meat and adventure sexual. I don't know what the proper terminology for that is, but yeah, that's Luffy for all intents and purposes in the story. Luffy is Latino. Well, Brazilian is what Oda said. There you go. Luffy is a Charlotte fanfiction. Never heard of that theory or that fanfiction, that Luffy is gonna be like one of the children of Big Mom. Yeah, I might have to do a little bit of research on that later. I don't know. Luffy is Uranus. No, I don't want him to be that. I don't want, like, okay, so we know Shirahoshi is a living, being, and she is an ancient weapon. Pluton is apparently a battleship, so it's not completely out of the way that Uranus could be a living being as well, or it could be a ship, or some kind of, like, flying vessel, like, on the moon, who knows. But, I don't think Luffy's gonna turn out to be an ancient weapon, any more than I think, like, Momo or Zunisha is gonna turn out to be the ancient weapon. I just don't feel it. Luffy is secretly a girl. Is he, like, secretly a girl? Like, probably not, no. But Oda did draw the Straw Hats, Rule 63 gender flipped because of Ivankov's powers, so, and there was also a figurine made of sexy female Rule 63 Luffy, so if you're interested, the internet provides, basically. It's out there. That makes me think maybe someone, like, saw the figurine and they're like, is he really? I'm like, well, it's One Piece. It's open. There you go. And then the last question is here. Luffy is Roger. Luffy is Roger. Well, he embodies the will of Roger. It also kind of goes back to, like, I think people wanted Luffy's Devil Fruit, the Gumu Gumu no Mi, to be used by Roger. So, like, oh, there's a connection there between the two of them. And I'm like, no, it doesn't need to be, It's like, Luffy's having his own adventure. He was inspired by Shanks and Roger. But, he doesn't need to do the exact same thing Roger did. In fact, he should probably do some things differently, because this is his own adventure, right? That's what I mean by that. But yeah, Luffy's not going to turn out to be, like, the reincarnation of Roger in that sense. Maybe from, like, a will, like, inherited will perspective, but not like, Roger died and his soul was floating around and got reincarnated in Luffy. It's not going to be anything like that, no. Alright, so now let's get to some Yonko action, alright? So this one's going to be about Whitebeard. Whitebeard is a tank. Yes! Like, literally, figuratively, yes! He is. Whitebeard is alive. I would hope not. I really don't want Oda to do that. If it's gonna happen at all, Blackbeard's in the possession of Moria's fruit, or at least has Moria working for him right now, so maybe we might get to see zombie Whitebeard. I threw that idea out there before, but I don't want there to ever be a thing where, like, Whitebeard comes back from the grave and there he is. We got to see Whitebeard younger in Odin's flashback, and that was very fulfilling to me, and we'll probably see Whitebeard again in other flashbacks, when we see, the God Valley incident and Roger's backstory. We'll see Whitebeard again in various, like, stages of his life. But no, he is well and truly dead in terms of the present storyline of One Piece. Whitebeard is overrated. No, he's not. I'm sorry, he's overrated. He couldn't really destroy the world. Yeah, he could if he really, really, really wanted to. He has the power of, like, a devil fruit that can literally shake and break apart the Earth's crust. He was old, he was diseased and sick by the time he got to Marineford. The dude was in his 70s. But in his prime, you're dead, yeah. So, no, I don't think Whitebeard was overrated in the slightest. Whitebeard is weak. Whitebeard is... Okay, you know what? to be fair, I have no idea how strong Oda's going to make Roxy Zebek, so maybe by the time we get to that, maybe we will find out, like, yeah, Whitebeard's power was nothing more than just a sniveling kitten, you know, compared to the might of Roxy Zebek. I don't know, but weak, there's about 1,000 words that I would use to describe Whitebeard, 997 of which are just the mustache, but weak? No, not one of them. Whitebeard is a tank AMV. That's a pretty cool AMV. Is Whitebeard a giant? Okay, so here's the thing. Like, a lot of humans in One Piece have different, like, body shapes. Like, Whitebeard, Big Mom, they're all really large, but they're still confirmed to be humans. We had, like, Moria, who resembles, like, an onion human. Really weird body shape with Moria. Hannibal and Impel Down had, like, the horns. Like, he's a devil human. So there's a bunch of different, like, variants of these. Consider the fact that there's so many different species in One Piece, and there probably were a lot more species back during the days of, like, the Void Century, because remember, the world government is a thing, and they're not against doing cleansings. So, like, King's species, King's race, whatever that turns out to be, you know, he's probably one of the last of his kind. There probably were a lot more. Maybe the world government, like, purged them or something. But yeah, there might have been like a devil race of humans, or like humans in this devil race commingled, and then you get like Hannibal, or like onion humans exist. I'm just trying to come up with some explanation here. It's very possible that, yeah, considering giants are a thing in One Piece, humans and giants, you know, that happened at one point, and Whitebeard might have giant blood in him. Not saying that his mom or his dad was a giant, but it might be like further back, because Whitebeard is not nearly as tall as a giant. You know, giants, the shortest giants are 12 meters tall, and Whitebeard's even shorter than Big Mom, so yeah, it might have been a couple generations back, but I could see Whitebeard having giant blood in him. Same with Big Mom, same with Kaito. Is Whitebeard stronger than Roger? From the flashback that we've seen, it implies that they were on an even keel. It implied that, hey, who knows, maybe sometimes Whitebeard got the upper hand, maybe sometimes Roger got the upper hand, something like that, but it was never like a giant gap. It was never like, you know, Whitebeard was this strong and Roger was weak. They were about the same age. If Roger would have been alive today, he would have been in his 70s. So they were around the same age. They probably started their piracy ages, you know, the same time there. You know, I guess you could say because Whitebeard had a devil fruit, and because he could, like, the physical, raw, destructive power he had could, like, destroy the world, he was stronger than Roger in that respect, because Roger, I can't, like, Whitebeard punches the ground, like, for a mile or like 5 kilometers, you got freaking like, you know, the mantle just shifts. When Roger does that, probably only like, you know, 1 kilometer would, yeah, you know, in terms of raw destructive power, you know, just from the devil fruit, you know, Whitebeard seemed to have more of that. Roger didn't have a devil fruit, but his hockey was ridiculously top level, same as Whitebeard's was. So in terms of like when those two fought, you know, it wasn't an easy victory for either of them, even though Whitebeard did have the Guru Guru no Mi powers. I was gonna make actually planning a whole video on like higher level top tier combat in One Piece, like the strongest you could possibly get in One Piece, and from what we've seen with like Roger and Whitebeard clashing. After Roger started getting really sick, you could say Whitebeard was stronger than him then, but even then, even when he was really sick on Death's Door, Roger, you don't mess with him, right? And then is Whitebeard a Yonko? Well, he was, and then he died, and then Blackbeard took his position. So there's that. We have Shanks is Rock's son. I haven't heard much of that, honestly, no. I'm looking through the timelines right now in One Piece. Shanks and Buggy were born 39 years ago, which was a year before the God Valley incident. It's possible in terms of the ages that could work. Maybe Buggy is Rox's son. I didn't do a Buggy one. Maybe that'll be part 2. But Blackbeard was like 40, and, you know, he would have been born also around the same time, and seeming like since Blackbeard and Zebek seem to have a connection back between each other, not only the fact that, you know, they both have the will of D, they're both like, you know, I'm gonna be king of the world or whatever. Blackbeard's ship is the Saber of Zebek. and it's Rocksteady Zebek, so there's a connection there. It seems like Oda's really pushing us the connection between Rocks and Blackbeard, but in terms of the timeline, it does make sense. Shanks is Naruto's uncle fanfiction. That's the second result when you type that in, so that seems to imply to me that that's like a really relevant fan fiction. Like, that's something that's really popular out there. I thought I was going to get, honestly, when I typed in Shanks I thought I was going to get more, like, Guild Arts questions. You know, is Shanks Guild Arts from Fairy Tail? I was expecting more of that, to be honest with you. Shanks is weak. No! I don't know why it's like, Shanks is weak? I'm like, we've never even seen the dude fight. So I guess I can't come out and say, like, Shanks is objectively the strongest character in One Piece, because we've never really seen him in a straight-up balls-out fight, but we've implied fights, you know, his fight with Mihawk. He clashed with Mihawk. Just there, that's the prerequisite for not being weak, alright? That's actually the prerequisite for being really crazy freak show strong, okay? But we'll wait to see how an actual Shanks battle shakes down. But for right now, no, not weak. Shanks is a celestial dragon. I have heard of that before. Also, I think this might come from the fact that the celestial dragon, at least the Gorosei, accepted a meeting with him. Maybe he might have some connections with them. I don't think he's a celestial dragon, but I think he's just a really well-respected pirate in the world, and out of the Yonko, he's the one that kind of plays the nicest, probably, with the world government. Like, if Kaito or Big Mom, like, we want a meeting with the Gorosei, they're like, no way. We're not letting you anywhere near Marijois. But Shanks calls up and says, I want a meeting with you guys. They'll be like, alright, it's red hair, he's smart, he's not gonna do anything stupid. If he wants to come and talk to us, it's probably for a good reason. He's not gonna, like, raid and burn down Marijois. We'll let him in, you know, so there's a connection there, but it might just be more of like okay, you're one of the world's superpowers, we're the world's superpower, you know, we'll have a conversation with you there as long as you play by the rules. Shanks is Im-sama. Nah, I don't see that. No, but just the body type doesn't work, you know, because Im is like this super lanky person. Don't even know if person is the accurate statement to use there, but body type is completely wrong. Yeah, Shanks is not Im. Shanks is the son of Zebek. Shanks is Luffy's father, fanfiction. Shanks has not been around in Luffy's life very much, but he's probably been around in it longer than Dragon. So you know what? Shanks being Luffy's dad? Okay, you know, like, in terms of fatherly figure, Luffy looks to him as more of a fatherly figure than probably he looks to Dragon, who he's never met. So, I'll give it to you. I'd read that fanfiction. Shanks is overprotective of Luffy fanfiction, and Shanks is protective of Luffy fanfiction. I don't even know what that... I mean, I guess it explains what it is right there. There's a fanfiction where Luffy is... Shanks is the helicopter parent, I guess. You know, where Luffy goes to fight Crocodile. I want to bring you down, Crocodile! And Shanks shows up. He's like, Luffy, no, stand back, son. I'll take care of this. Bam! Why do you keep fighting my battles for me, Shanks? Let me be my own pirate. Luffy, I just care about you. Oh. And then they just start crying. So, there we go, yeah. Tell you what, I had a few more plans for these, but this is already a long video. I printed a few more of these out, but tell you what, we'll cut back to maybe part 2 of this. We'll see where this goes. You know, if this clicks or not, but we'll do it part 2 definitely, because I have more of these. But we're already like 30 minutes in, so I'm gonna stop here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to every little soul out there that searched for Kaito being a duck. You've made this old YouTube reviewer happy. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking and Barry D. Brick signing out. We should do an autocomplete for you, Barry.